Hey, everybody, it's that time again. It's time for Brian Destroys Live. I'd like to thank anyone watching, although from the stats on my screen, I see no one is. Uh, but I don't do these for you. I do these to record how I feel and what I feel the world is going through at this time. Um, Anyway, so tonight is I'm not going to even there's not a lot to go over. I mean, I went over the stimulus the last time. Um, I've gone over what's gone on in Portland and everything pretty soon or pretty recently. Um, so uh, there's not a whole lot to talk about, but I will talk about a story a friend of mine sent me. There's a lake near a park up in the Presidio that a friend of mine and I went to have lunch at uh, a few months ago during the depth of the pandemic. I mean, yeah, I know we're there now, but when it comes to it, I mean, it was the worst part. It was a worse part of the pandemic than we are in now. I mean, stuff is open now, but there was nothing open. So we went to a park and had a socially distanced lunch. Um, there is a lake just north of where we were sitting, and someone apparently drowned in it. And like there was a story recently where someone in Vegas drowned in the Bellagio fountain, and I made the joke that they were making pea soup because it was a homeless guy, and pea being PEE, not PEA. And well, if you're homeless, there's a good chance that at some point in your life, probably recently, you have pee on you. So there's the math. Anyway, so it looks like someone decided to make pea soup in this lake. And I mean, it's a recent thing, but it is what it is. If you aren't being attentive and you drown, whether you're sober or not, I mean, you can't do much. I mean, what did the guy do to drown? Was he drinking and just not and passed out while he was swimming because the water was so cold? I really don't know. But anyway, so there's that. But there's not, I mean, I can rehash everything, but there was something from the stimulus that I kind of talked about, but they really, really kind of, the Republicans really botched. And it's more in line what traditional unemployment benefits are in most states. They made a cap of $200 a week for unemployment benefits so that states can figure out how to program 70% of their average income into their unemployment databases so people can get 70% of their unemployment. The issue is that $200 a week is nowhere near enough to live on, especially if you're 3 months behind on rent, because you can't afford to. You've gotten to the point where you can't afford to eat, or it's either eat or pay rent, or eat or get medication or whatever. It's just it's incredibly short-sighted. It's unbelievable that we've waited on a Republican plan that falls so short. But it's what we should have come to expect from the Republicans. I mean, they were so dead set on repealing Obamacare that they failed at that too because they couldn't get it right. I mean, who makes up these bills? Kindergartners? I mean, really, I understand. I get the point that we're massively in debt, and we will be so massively in debt for the rest of everyone's natural lives that you don't want to spend much more. But it's dumb. If I mean, I've already stated my opinion on the stimulus. I just don't think it's the right time for a stimulus. I think that it's a good time for an extension of the eviction moratorium. I think it's a good time for an extension on the mortgage default moratorium, but I don't think it's time for more money. And instead of giving people $1,200 for the stimulus, so you can go back to work, people aren't going to go back to work. People are still getting sick. Half of these people who have lost their jobs are never getting their jobs back because the places they've been working are closed. I mean, I'll give you an example. Airlines. Most airlines have stated they are going to cut their workforce by at least half when the moratorium on airline employee furloughs and firings is lifted on September 30th. Okay, yeah, that's an artificially inflated employment number. Okay, and think about cruise lines, think about restaurants, think about places where service is important, and no one is going to be going back to work anytime soon. Incentivizing businesses to hire people isn't going to change the fact that they're going to make no money, and half the business owners that restart their business are going to shut down in 6 months. It's fucking dumb, and I apologize for the foul language, but it's fucking stupid. If you have a job, be happy you have a job, and understand that if you quit your job in order to do something else, it probably won't work unless you have a business idea that works for the pandemic. And everyone who doesn't get into that mindset right now is going to be woefully unprepared for anything. And it's just Congress is not leading by example. Congress is not. It's leading with its desire to keep power instead of its desire to actually do something. And I've said this before. I probably haven't said it to you, but I'll say it now. Congress is worthless. And if you want to know why I believe that, the last meaningful piece of legislation that Congress passed is the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Even the Americans with Disabilities Act was just a massive amendments to that. It's the reason why trans and queer and gay people don't have rights in the work, or didn't have rights in the workplace up until recently. Congress will not touch anything reasonable. And if you say the Patriot Act was a meaningful piece of legislation, it wasn't. And I'll stand by that 100%. Congress has done nothing for 55 years. And as long as they keep pulling shit like this, they won't. I don't know how anyone votes. I don't know how anyone makes the conscious decision to let these people keep making laws and do nothing every election cycle. It's unbelievable. You wonder why. I mean, if you wonder why I went from being a democratic person to a socialist to an anarchist, this is why. Congress is incapable of doing anything. We have a president that just wants to blow everything up, which, to be honest, in some ways I'd be fine with, except that I believe in freedom, and he would take away freedoms from people that don't deserve to have their freedoms taken from them. I mean, I know it's a thin line now, but he would actively attack your ability to do anything. And I can't stand by and watch that. That's why I do some of these videos and argue for this stuff. And as long as we as a people keep our head in the sand, keep our nose down, do whatever, and ignore what's going on, the longer it's going to take for us to fix shit. Period. End of story. And I could go on for hours about this, but I know you don't want to hear it. And I certainly don't want to talk for hours because it just doesn't help. Talking does nothing. Acting does. I'm not in a position to make the actions that are necessary to fix stuff. This is where everyone else comes in. I can talk all I want. I can say what I want. But as long as no one actively works to do something, and more importantly, when they act, they just accept what someone else gives them, it doesn't make real change. And I'm done for today. Thank you for watching if you have, and have a great night. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video.